Incremental greetings. Let's continue with the second myth versus fact. Now it's time for we cannot improve our memory through training. Meaning that this is set in stone. You are born with this memory, and even if you want to train it, there's nothing you can do. So what we will see is how smarter learning strategies enhance memory capacity. So it's very obvious how I'm presenting this, that is already a myth. So first, what's a claim? That memory is fixed at birth or set in an early stage of life. Regardless if it's at 8, the golden, I think they say the golden era or golden stage between 8 and 10, it's set on stone. Like learning a language. If you don't learn the language at that point, you will never be a native of that language, stuff like that. No training can totally improve it. You may have heard of different memory types. Short-term memory, long-term memory. And yes, short-term memory, it's very directly limited by biology. There's nothing you can do with that. There's not much you can do. Yes, it's actually true. But remember what we have seen before, the other myth. What we have seen that take away, that the baseline is there, but the learning strategy is what makes the difference. So it goes more or less in the same vein. So William James' perspective, it's been a while. It's been in the more than 100 years. He said that memory doesn't change much, except for deteriorations like aging or disease. Exactly. So for this example, we'll keep people that are healthy. So if you have any disease or anything in the brain, can only be for the worse, and aging is only for the worse. Deterioration. So at best, what you want to do with aging is to decay as low as possible, just the same as the memory decay. You want to remember more, you cannot prevent it, you can only do it slower. Same with the aging. The brain will become worse and worse, so you want this to become as low as possible, as slow as possible. So, quote, memory is static. You're stuck with what you have got. That's paraphrasing the pessimistic view. I don't know if there's an author, I couldn't get it from the source. Could be the case. Let me know if there's an author for that. Then, let's go with the basic brain level. Synaptic properties. Human synapses, when the neurons connect and so on, are remarkably similar across individuals, and even share features with simple creatures like mollusks or flies. So not even mammals or smaller animals. No. It's just a fly that is just unknown. Not even 5 millimeters, and very different from us, right? Same as mollusks. You may have eaten some of them, perhaps. So the limits, if you observe memory, at the molecular synaptical scale. It indeed looks resistant to improvement. Little changes over a healthy lifetime. So the quote is that at the microscopic scale, if we see it with a microscope, memory might seem immutable. Good. Then what's the bigger picture with this? Again, representation of information or knowledge. There are different names to represent the same thing. That it's not the raw synapses alone, it's how you organize and encode the language, just the same as that everyone forgets at the same rate. It's a myth. Then, now we cannot improve our memory through training. Well, we cannot improve in a synaptical level, in a biological level. There's almost no margin. It's in fact correct. But what we're going to do is improve because of a different thing. Skill. We cannot, at least today, we cannot achieve that. There are no steroids that instead of increases strength, increases the memory. At least for now, there's no such thing. So imagine that it will be the only way, or it's skill. A genius quote-unquote genius is often just more adept at simplifying complex data to easy-to-remember models. And it's this secret. It can be defined as this thing. It's not that the genius has a more capacity to remember, more gray area, matter, or whatever. Could be the case, but it's marginal. It's nothing significant. And then with the lifetime, you can even not improve that. What you can do, and what is the case for people who are more intelligent or genius, is how you convert this information from the reality that your senses tell you, from what you see, what you read, what you listen, all of that, and how you process, how you chunk this down into mental models. So imagine, to simplify with analogy, that all of the meat we have, it's half raw, and I don't have any tool. I just, with my hands, it's hard to swallow, right? I can process that meat, I can eat it, but it's a challenge. I will get tired, my jaw will get tired, all of that. Imagine that someone else pre-cuts this meat with little cuts, like the Japanese. I think the Japanese do that. That's why they can use chopsticks. They don't use a knife and fork to cut it because it's already cut. So therefore, for me, it's a lot easier to first to pick up, to put it on my mouth, and to chew it and to swallow. And it's the same meat. It's just what we have done with this meat. Same thing. This meat is information. How I model this information. Then for the genius, makes sense that, everything is so easy, it's so atomic and simplified and abstracted that it's a lot easier to remember this. So therefore the genius is not that remembers more because it has a more raw capacity. It's because it's literally easier to remember what he does. And having this capacity to simplify reality with mental models and make flashcards, for instance, that are simple how they're structured, is super hard to do. It's a skill that is very hard, and this is the genius level. The capacity to simplify complex stuff with simple wording. If you leave complex wording, means you're lacking this skill. So geniuses build simple mental frameworks, making thinking and memory synergy soar as a consequence. So we have seen that at the end of the day, it's not about the capacity of the memory. It's about modeling data, representing information. Then, memory techniques. So even, that is just to make the point. Because imagine 1 week course about memory techniques. So even a short training in mnemonics, the techniques about memory, can dramatically boost one's memory, people's ability to learn. Meaning that the point here is that just a few weeks, meaning you will invest just a few hours a day for a few days. So let's imagine 20 hours at maximum. With just this, you can dramatically improve your ability to learn. Meaning, hey, you haven't had any steroid, you haven't injected any steroid. What you did is just changing how you process, how you encode the information. And that's a big factor here. Just by encoding information in a better manner than you're doing now, you will see the dramatic increase. Your brain, your memory will be the same. So imagine me. I didn't want to have put myself as an example. The other day, last week, I had my first ever recording with another person. I was not alone. So what happened is that my flow was not the same. Usually I'm alone, so I'm very systematic. I click this, I see the button, But since I was not alone, he requested a break to go to the restroom, it's, oh shoot. Then I forgot to press the button to start recording again. Because I never do that. If I stop, because I want to back up or whatever, and then I resume. What's with this anecdote is that even if I have a very good memory in the sense that I have hundreds of thousands of hacks retrievable, I can retrieve in any time because of 15 years of speech repetition, I still have those limitations because my working memory is the same as 15 years ago. The methods I use and my capacity to represent the information and how I encode the information, how I link it, these are the skills I acquired. But something like, oh, you went to the restroom and I forgot to click again to set record. Shut. I didn't improve that. Then, why it works? Why memory techniques work? Without mentioning anything, very high level. You break down the information, you encode and retrieve information more effectively. Because how you encode the information will have a very direct impact of how you will be able to retrieve it. So therefore, you can use some techniques, let's quote, to abuse some of the effects so it's more memorable. It's easier to retrieve in the future. Then, synaptic structures may remain the same. No change. You're born with this, or after puberty or whatever that peaks. But how we feed information into those synapses changes, and that is how you improve your memory. That's why people who use systematic methods can remember 300,000 numbers of number pi. Because they don't. Actually, they don't. They don't remember the numbers of pi. They remember a story with characters and whatever system they use. But usually, at the end of the day, they make a story, a narrative. Because for this, humans is a lot easier to remember. And then, with encoding and decoding, it's odd. If this character do something, I don't know, to Donald Trump is on the supermarket and does some action, this in my system has an encoding. Donald Trump, number 2, and whatever. We will go into specifics. So if, as I remember the story, the narrative, I see the characters, these characters have said one number, this action has one number, and so on. That's what they remember. And that's why they are retrieving. The story, not the numbers. They are like translating the narrative they memorized. It just makes sense. So memory training upgrades your approach, not your basic brain hardware, but that alone can yield huge gains. Exactly. So imagine a computer that the hardware is the same, but I install a different Windows that is more lightweight, consumes a lot of less RAM, memory, and even though I have a limited RAM, since I have more available now, hey, I can do more stuff. The hardware is the same. The improvement of efficiency and so on comes from the software, the skill set, the techniques you're using. And what learning is, and what about the process of learning as a self-accelerated process? You could say that the more you know, the easier it becomes, right? So the more used I am from one mnemonic technique, the easier it is to use this mnemonic technique, the quicker I can do the mnemonic. Therefore, the quicker I can do retain that piece of information, to encode that information. So first, knowledge handling. Once you master a new technique, so then it's no longer a new, like the Yossi method, memory palace, closing testing or chunking, the master method, there are so many. Each subsequent piece of information attaches more efficiently. The more you use it, the more proficient you become, the easier it becomes. So yes, at some degree you could say that the more you know how to learn, the better you will learn. The cheaper it will be to transform something you read, listen, or whatever from your senses to process that information and encode that information into knowledge and link it to what you learn. So a genius. So let's say a person like this that becomes a genius in that process, when it's a genius can even do the same process even faster than when it was not a genius. So the more intelligent, we could say that the more intelligent you are, the more intelligent you can become faster. You become even more intelligent even faster. It just makes sense. So you have the miraculous result. That's why it sounds like cultish, that I'm selling like the panacea, something like that. So people can remember more. You win in this domain already, in quantity. Faster, you recall faster. You don't have to, yes, yeah, no, no, no. It's more effortful. You will get there, but it's more effortful and slower. You need more time. So you win on speed, on quantity, in richness of connections, in every single domain. As always, incremental reading, it's a victory in almost every single domain. Leading to overnight improvements, from a mere shift in technique. If you haven't done that, do your own stuff. So I suggest look for this in Wikipedia or ask AI. Try something like the measure method, like up to 100 characters, let's say, and that each character has one number from 1 to 100, and try it yourself. Then making stories, narratives, and being able to remember numbers. It won't be as efficient because it's just pairing two numbers. Then would you be able to pair every 3, every 4, and every 5, what the champions of memory do. At the end of the day, they are not better on memory. They don't have more capacity to remember than you. What they do is they have a better capacity to encode information. That's the difference. Encoders. They are master encoders or genius at encoding information very quickly, very effortlessly. Why? Because they are experts on that. So as soon as they see a number, let's say random numbers of phones or even pi, for instance, as they are seeing the numbers, they are producing, making up the stories almost on the spot. Okay, so good. When you learn how to learn, something you don't do on the school system, by the way, memory gains can seem almost magical. Yes, when you do the click, you really get it. It's scary. I myself experience this feeling. I was scared. It's so damn good that when you make the tipping point, it's like the I don't know what it's called in English. I'll research that after the editing. It's scary. It's so powerful that oh wow, it's like I have a crisis, identity crisis. That who am I? I don't identify this as myself. I don't have this capacity. I have never had this capacity. Only that, not only that, that it feels like superhuman. Because especially in your circle, if no one is using those techniques and incremental reading, and you cannot compare, you will feel like, what the fuck is happening here? Yeah. So takeaways. Again, the myth has been debunked. Memory indeed can improve through smarter encoding strategies. Not in a biological level, synaptical level. That is indeed true. We started with this already in the first slide. But it's so damn good that overpowers. So even if I have the same capacity as birth or as a teenager, whatever, when it peaks, the encoding makes the difference. And since even I'm getting older, and my capacity very slightly decreases over time, biologically, it's it's not even seen in the sense that the improvement of my skills overshadows what I'm actually um, losing in a biological level. At some point, you cannot keep up. Yes, I'm imagine. There's no studies because there's the longer user of spatial partition is Piotr Wozniak, the creator himself. He's 64, I think, 63, something like that. So there are not people old enough to see what happens in an old brain. That even if you're healthy and so on, if you're 80, you'll have declines in memory and so on. So the key factor is knowledge, representation, and skills. That's why makes a huge difference if you're, let's say you're an Anki, you're starting this course, or you watch this video on its own in YouTube. And what you have done in a spatial repetition, it's using Anki with a preset collection, with a pre-done deck. You don't do that. You haven't created your own flashcards. The representation has been fed to you. So yes, you could learn more, you could memorize longer than usual because you use a spatial repetition, but you're using these so the advantages you're seeing are minimal. The least amount of increase you can get. So imagine, if you're neglecting the key factor and you still haven't improved, imagine how damn good that is when you make your own flashcards and you make knowledge representation and a skill you use every day. It becomes scarily good. Learning how to break down and conceptualize data, that's the key. That's the hard part. That is what an intelligent people will do better than less intelligent people. Not the consequence of this. Then, not the raw capacity, I mean. Practical implication. Even a modest effort in mnemonic or learning technique training can significantly boost long-term memory retention. So far we have seen, hey, wait. In incremental reading, you don't have to go there necessarily. You learn this semantically. As you read, you do this chunking and encoding. Perhaps most of the time, it will be enough. Sometimes, for whatever reason, memory interference, it's not linked enough with something you know or whatever is harder, then you will need to rely on mnemonics. Sometimes then the mnemonics fade away. Like sometimes it's, oh shoot, I remember I had a mnemonic for that, but now I actually remember the fact, since I no longer need the mnemonic as the middle step, the mnemonic fades away eventually because of forgetting. Sometimes in Anki, because how it works, I have different fields, so then I hide the mnemonic, but it's still there in the database, and I can take a look when I click to edit, and I see the mnemonic I used years ago or decades ago, and it's wow. Like, I don't recall anything about that, which is a good thing, because at the end of the day, the mnemonic is an artificial step. That if it's not required means it's the best case scenario. So quote, train the mind to handle knowledge better. The gains in memory will follow. Exactly. Don't train to improve your memory. There is no such thing. You cannot improve it. It's set on stone most of the time. You may have seen, perhaps my example is dated, the Nintendo DS, they had like memory, one game about memory. Again, I will have to look it after the editing because that sparked now. It was not on my examples. That, oh yeah, it was sold like, hey, you can train this so you will be more intelligent with this game. But fact is that the only thing you have done is improving skills that are repetitive in nature. You get better at them. That's it. Your intelligence or your memory is still the same. Because it was targeted at improving memory. No. What you need to do is target the skills of knowledge representation. That's how you improve your memory. So yeah, to put it in fancy words, yes, the brain biology remains mostly the same in healthy adults, but learning tactics, methods, techniques can drastically alter the outcomes to a scary level to have better retention, faster recall, deeper understanding. Remember, you win in every single dimension. Last longer, can be retrieved faster, and you spend less time and has a deeper understanding, more quality. Win-win. So the final thought is that memory training isn't about rewarding your synapses. It's about harnessing them more effectively. It's all the method. If you're already doing this, you are a mnemonist, but you don't use incremental reading, you will experience still a massive gain. Massive. Because you are not scheduling or prioritizing, which are the other dimensions. Very key, very important that you're neglecting. Once you manage this, oh man, that's when you will experience the best method available to humanity today. I know with AI, they could achieve something better. But for now, in 2025, incremental reading is the best thing you can learn from. The best method. That's all for now. See you incrementally.